Why do they put tags on books that don't come off of books? Huh? This is not where you put tags. This is not where you put tags.
This is not where you put tags.
Disagree. Hello and welcome. Christine E. Schulze here, your favorite Elvish author, and welcome back to another chapter reaction. Today we're going to be reading a selection from this little book that I found recently at Books A Million called Granted by John David Anderson. You can see most of the cover. Unfortunately, I'm having a hard time getting the sticker off over here. But yeah, it looks, I believe it's more of a middle grade fantasy. But it looks really cute and whimsical, and so we're just going to dive right in today and start, as always, with the blurb. Oh, we kind of have two blurbs. We have one on the back cover, and we have something a little bit different on the inside cover. Let's check both out, shall we?
Interesting.
On the back it says, "Everyone who wishes upon a star, or a candle, or a penny thrown into a fountain, knows that you're not allowed to tell anyone what you've wished for. But even so, rest assured, there is someone out there who hears it." Ophelia Delphinium Fidgets is no ordinary fairy. She is a granter, one of the select few whose job it is to venture beyond the boundaries of the haven and grant the wishes of unsuspecting humans every day. It's the work of the granters that generates the magic that allows the fairies to do what they do and keep the haven hidden and safe. But with worldwide magic levels at an all-time low, this is not as easy as it sounds. On a typical day, only a small fraction of the millions of wishes made get granted, and even granting those promised few means navigating a human world fraught with danger. Today, however, is anything but typical, because today, Ophelia is going out on her first assignment, and she's about to discover that getting what you truly want takes much more than a handful of fairy dust. I like that we got some little illustrations here. We got a dog with the fairy. Makes me think a little bit of Dog's Body, which is my favorite Diana Wynne Jones book. She's like one of my favorite authors ever. We'll definitely read more stuff from her later on, down the road. This book is dedicated to those who made it home and those who haven't yet. Chapter 1. I like. It's a prologue. We got a prologue.
Prologue!
The last time you blew out your birthday candles, what did you wish for? Did you blow them all out on the first breath? It doesn't count otherwise. Also, do not let your brother or sister help you. At best, they will waste your wish. At worst, they will steal it for themselves. Same for dandelions. That one breath rule, or else the wish won't fly. It's harder than you think, getting all those seeds off in one huff. Harder than candles on a cake. If you can't manage it though, don't worry. There are a dozen more ways to make a wish. A quarter flipped into a fountain. A penny dropped down a well. Some might tell you that bigger coins make stronger wishes, but that's simply not true. A silver dollar or even a gold doubloon doesn't increase the chances you'll get what you want. Your dollar's better spent on gumballs or ice cream. Use a nickel instead. Wishes aren't for sale to the highest bidder. A shooting star, or maybe just an airplane passing overhead, it's hard to tell. What was that wish for? You needn't wait for one to streak by. The truth is, any star will do, so long as it's the first one you spot. Just don't sing the song. You know the one. It grates on the nerves after a while. Maybe you keep a wishing stone in your jacket pocket, rubbed smooth by time and worry, the circle of your thumb going round and round as you shut your eyes and hope. Don't. You're better off skipping that stone across a lake. Wishes are temporary things. You can't just keep them in your coat and ask for them whenever you please. That would be unfair. And the wish-granting process is nothing if not fair. Wishes are made in moments of wonder and desperation. Wishes are prayers without a salutation, and minus an amen. Did you notice that you can wish on a horse? But it has to be all white or all black, no patches or spots. A pony will do in a pinch, and, contrary to popular opinion, you do not have to see its tail. Or, wait until Thanksgiving, and dig through the picked clean carcass of that cooked bird to find the bone, shaped nothing like a wish, for wishes have no shape except for the one you give them. Looking more like a pair of tweezers, or a U that's trying very hard to become a V. The bigger half is the one that counts, of course, and no fear breaking it all by yourself. Wishing is competitive. There's only so much magic to go around. And less as time goes by, it seems. Feathers, yawns, and falling leaves, acorns and necklace clasps, four-leaf clovers. Yes, they can be wished on, but no, they aren't good luck. Neither are rabbit's feet, at least not for the rabbit. Eyelashes? Yes, but only if they fall out on their own and you happen to catch them on your fingertip. Plucked lashes are instantly disqualified. The first rainbow of spring, spotted through the window of your moving car. You point it out, and your mother tells you to make a wish on it. Go ahead, but keep it to yourself. Telling ruins it, and it makes Mom feel bad if she knows it will never come true. Though she can't possibly know, not for certain, even though the odds are against you. Some wishes do get granted, just not near as many as before. Perhaps you are partly to blame for that, or maybe it's some fault in the system, or maybe that's just how it has to be. The last time you blew out your candles, what did you wish for? And did you get it? No? Maybe we're going to find out why.
There's so many rules.
You do not blow the candles out all at once?
No.
Maybe that's your fault.
My sister has to stop helping.
Your sister's stealing your wishes.
She's stealing my wishes.
The fiend.
We're gonna have a talk later.
Chapter 1. The lottery was in less than an hour, and Ophelia still hadn't waxed her wings. Her hair, as cobalt blue as the flower she was born from, and just as delicate and fine, was brushed, of course, her bangs pinned back. Her uniform pressed, buttons polished, collar cinched so tight it was hard to swallow. Her boots showed little sign of wear, all the scuffs carefully buffed away, but her wings she simply hadn't gotten to yet. Probably not an issue. There were no long-distance flights in her future, after all. But if anything could be said of Ophelia Delphinium Fidgets, it would be that she was always prepared, that she worried over every minor detail. Some fairies called her fussy. She preferred the word meticulous. When she was born, pulled from the dense cluster of dewdrop flowers in Mrs. Haverstack's back garden, she looked at her founder and immediately brushed the pollen grains off his shoulder. They bothered her, sitting there, impertinent and messy. Tidy, that's how she liked things. At the age of nearly nothing, she was all about particulars. Nothing out of place for this fairy. Never. That's how she'd risen in the ranks so quickly. The youngest ever to graduate from the academy. Top marks, a certified field agent at the age of 4. A grantor. Which is why it was a little bothersome to her that she wasn't ready for work yet. Normally, she would be sitting in her chair by now, on her third bowl of honeyed oats, staring at the clock, waiting for Charlie to pick her up so they could commute to work. Not that she needed the company. He was the one who insisted. Ophelia's cottage in the treetops was on his way. Ophelia didn't mind being alone, at least most days. Grantors almost always flew solo. Sometimes it's best if you have to count only on yourself, even if it means you will have only yourself to blame. She reached into her cabinet and pulled out her jar of liquid beeswax and the bit of cotton that she used to spread it, cautious not to get the stuff on her fingers. It was nearly impossible to wash off completely, and made your skin slicker than snot. For the rest of the morning, she would fumble at the door handles and have things slip out of her hands if she wasn't careful. On wings, though, it did wonders, especially if you were traveling in bad weather. Not that she would know. It had been nearly a year since she had graduated, and in that time she had made only brief forays outside the haven. Training exercises mostly, some clean-up detail, but no actual missions. Not the things she had trained for. Ophelia Delphinium Fidgets was a grantor, yes, but she still hadn't made her first wish come true. Chapter 2. She was Delphinium first, Fidgets second, Ophelia third. When fairies are born, North American fairies at least, they are given their names in stages, not all at once. The middle is always the first. Fairy ritual is seldom logical, and is simply the name of the flower, bush, or tree they are born from. For fairies, as everyone knows, are creatures of nature in the most intimate sense, sprung from the magic and beauty and wisdom, and even more specifically sprouted from lilacs, pine trees, and mulberry bushes, though there were several fairies, Ophelia thought, who must have sprung from tree stumps or boulders for all the sense they had. A leaf unfurls, a flower's petals parts, and there, uncurling alongside and stretching his or her sun-blessed limbs, is a fairy in the flesh. Perhaps you've seen it happen, though you wouldn't know it. Fairies are nothing if not stealthy. Stealthy and quick-witted, and a touch mischievous. The flower or tree a fairy springs from undoubtedly says something about her, contributes to her personality. Fairies emerge from redwood trees a little stouter than those stemming from phlox. Pansy-plucked fairies have a more delicate disposition than those born from bamboo. Certain plants are more likely to harbor fairies in them as well. There are probably more fairies with the middle name of Rose than any other. Ophelia could count 6 in her department alone. Several with the middle name of Lily, lots of tulips and violets and daffodils, quite a few oaks and maples and birches. Delphinium was a rare middle name for a fairy, which suited Ophelia just fine. A fairy's last name is given by his or her founder, the fairy who came to the outside world and brought the newborn sprite back to the haven before she could get eaten by a goshawk, or snatched by a fox, or, worst of all, spotted by a prying human. The founders are responsible for overseeing the care of new fairies, at least until they were able to care for themselves, which isn't that long, as fairies are naturally precocious and grow up quickly. As such, founders are the first to see a new fairy's personality surfaced, to pick up on her quirks and tics, her penchants and predilections. Often that's where a last name comes from. Ophelia's founder immediately noticed her messing with his buttons and baubles, tugging on the loose threads of his uniform, wriggling and writhing in his arms. She couldn't be still, even as a newborn, and so it didn't take him long to figure out what her last name should be. Fidgety little worm, this one, he said when he turned to the haven, bringing her home. And so she was, Delphinium Fidgets. As for her first name, that was simply a matter of luck. A fairy's first name was drawn out of a hat, though not a literal hat. That's just to say, it was chosen completely at random. More and more things are like that in the haven, much to some fairies' dismay. Ophelia felt fortunate to have her name. She liked the way the F sounds crashed together, like a hard rain. She liked the mouthfulness of it, a name so long you almost had to take a breath in between. Better than May Rose Crier, the fairy who ran the switchboards and was prone to sobbing jags, and much better than Argus Fothergilla Gaspasser. His founder must have been sensitive to smells to have given Argus such an unfortunate moniker, though Ophelia could confirm from experience that his last name was well earned. Gus Gaspasser could clear a room faster than you could wish for a breath of fresh air. And then there was Billy Lily Shrill, who you could hear from a mile away. Sometimes a name could tell you almost everything you need to know about a fairy. Sometimes it just gave you a hint, like Charlie. Charlie Rhododendron Whistler. It was also a bit of a mouthful, Ophelia admitted, though it didn't have quite the same ring as her own. He was a bit of a handful. That's sort of why she liked him. And that is the end of our selection from Granted by John David Anderson. Thoughts, comments, questions?
I really like the fairies' names.
Yeah, me too. I like the fairies' names. I think it's very whimsical. You can
Very
tell
whimsical.
already that there's a lot of world building going into it. So I will definitely be interested to see more of Ophelia and her journey as she goes to try to grant her first wish. Yeah, so tell me down below in the comments what you thought of this reading. If you've read this book for yourself, is it something that you enjoy? Is it something you would recommend? Why or why not? But again, try not to give spoilers. If you do give spoilers, please give a warning for folks who haven't read the book. But yeah, on that note, happy reading, and I'll see you in my next video where we introduce you to another book.